Hello, this is your friendly doctor again speaking with you. I understand most of you are feeling quite relieved that New Zealand has done fairly well with the current pandemic, and that most of us feel we have been safe ourselves as also our families, and that the restrictions will gradually start to decrease as we go ahead from now on. But the question that will linger from now on in most people's minds is, how do I face the world coming on after the lockdown? How am I going to go around my daily work? Am I going to be at risk? Am I going to put others at risk? What can I do to minimize that risk? These are all very legitimate questions, and I will endeavor to answer them. But for a start, amongst my previous two talks, I did not talk to you about the vast importance, in fact, of getting good quality sleep. And I thought I must spend a couple of minutes talking to you about good quality sleep. Now, I always tell you, if you remember, good quality sleep is very essential. This is like your body's reset button. Good sleep does not equal to not being awake. That's not sleep. Sleep goes through rhythms and various stages of deep sleep. These have to be obtained properly in the 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night, or else our body doesn't get time to recover. Remember, this is the time when the body recovers. This is the time when the brain recovers. And if you know that the brain is the master controller of so many other hormones and cellular functions, then no wonder brain recovery is extremely important to get. Not only does it give chance for the immune system to recover and to optimize the activity of your natural killer cells working to the optimum, but it also produces the human growth hormone at this time. All your growth hormone is really produced when you go into proper sleep. Now, growth hormone when you are young obviously helps you grow your tissues, but as you get older, it is very important because it keeps your tissues healthy and stops it from getting diseases, tiredness, aging. So a higher level of growth hormone decreases the rate at which we all age, and hence optimizing sleep is so very important. And remember, sleeping by taking a sleeping tablet or an antihistamine is not the same as getting natural sleep. As I said, sleep has various rhythms: REM sleep, NREM sleep, and these types of stages of sleep occur only in normal sleep cycles. Besides, the circadian rhythm of the body is so important, which is set by your sleeping. When you sleep for 8 hours at night and you're awake in the daytime with activity, your various other hormones like cortisol kick in. And this helps us perform well through the day. Well, at night, the cortisol comes down, the serotonin goes up, the melatonin goes up, and that's when you get normal quality, very good sleep. So if the cortisol levels remain really high going into the evening, when we are ready to sleep, because we are stimulated too much or the body is very active, then the melatonin doesn't get a chance to actually flow in properly. And as I said, all the hormones, all the systems in the body are regulated by circadian rhythms. Just like the sun and the moon, we have rhythms in our body, which is extremely important to maintain in a healthy individual. Okay? So remember, sleeping well is extremely important. And to this extent, having a good sleep routine, a good sleep hygiene can help. So I would recommend most of the times not having exposure to blue light, computer screens, TV screens, social media on the phones, within 2 hours of going to bed, which should be by about 10 or half 10, as very helpful in letting you sleep. Similarly, low intake of coffees, teas in the evening. Do things which help you relax. Meditate. Wind down time. Similarly, just like the body's circadian rhythms, it's not a good idea to have heavy exercise in the evening. Going to the gymnasium after 5 o'clock in the evening is not a great idea. Just an easy stroll is what you might need in the evenings. And again, talking about meals, once we have a larger meal, your main meal, later in the evening, say after 6, half 6 in the evening, we are now starting to rev up our digestive system, using up the body's resources, which are really wanting to calm down and get ready for sleep. Hence, it makes sense to eat your bigger meals in the earlier part of the day. You may want a larger breakfast or a larger lunch, but do your eating up front in the morning and start eating very small quantities of food going down to about 6 o'clock in the evening. Again, try avoid coffees, herbal teas, or other food items, especially desserts after 6 or 7 p.m. because eating desserts and things which have high sugar levels tend to spike insulin levels, which then pushes up your body's cortisol. So trying to eat anything sweet later in the day is never a good idea. Besides, eating sugars at night time or any foods which have high amounts of sugar will depress your growth hormone for most of the night. So avoid the desserts and eat earlier in the day, and then just concentrate on calming down going into the night. To achieve this, sometimes some herbal supplements or other nutrients might be helpful in the short term. Things like tryptophan, usually supplied as 5-HTP to bypass the initial step of tryptophan metabolism, can help about 100 milligrams at bedtime. So can the Indian herbs like ashwagandha and bacopa. There are other relaxing teas which might be useful as well. And don't forget the power of meditation in the evenings. What I will do is I will put links to a couple of good meditation practices and pranayams for you on a YouTube with my with this video onto my website, so you could click in and look at those as well. Okay. Now, looking ahead, the question of looking ahead, now that we are going to start getting back into normal life, normal work routines, normal schools. What have we actually learned in the last 4 weeks? Okay, there has to be some positives that we take out of this. And I'm hearing some wonderful stories from my patients in these 4 weeks when I do consultations with them. And they range from busy individuals who have got large businesses, unable to sleep and waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, either tossing in bed or quite often going down to their home office or even their office to work for very long hours. 16 hours, 18 hours is pretty common. Well, when they've had to stay at home and even work from home, they've had more time to spend with their partners and their children and have found newfound joy in this type of interaction for the first time. And they have vowed that they will carry this going ahead because they've realized that there are some things which are more important than work. It all needs to be balanced. There are others who have found new joy in cooking. There were CEOs, there were single people. They ate out most of the time, and at home they had only processed, packaged food to nibble on. Well, they were forced to actually shop for fresh vegetables and fruits. They had to learn how to cook for the first time and realized that they actually had unknown skills, and they enjoyed it tremendously. So they have told me that when they go back to work now, they are going to start buying food, raw food, and start cooking. Well, I've always said, food you get at home that you make yourself, you know what goes into it. When you eat outside and get pre-packaged takeaway foods or restaurant food, which is all very good for a little change, but on a regular basis, it can never be healthy because you have got no control over what goes into that food while it is being made. So there are lots of good success stories. There are others who have found a good rhythm to their day's activity. They found new love in going for long walks. A lot of them have started doing yoga and meditation. Well, most of these things I used to talk about before on my consults with them. They all said they wanted to do it, but for one reason or the other, they were practicing it with varying amounts of success till these 4 weeks have forced them to do it. And I'm glad that they learned it on their own. And the answer is what you've learned in these 4 weeks as your positive outcomes. The challenge is now to take this forward in your day-to-day lives because you know it has helped you. It has let you come adversity. It has kept you healthy while the world is crumbling around. So, the answer lies in what it takes to be healthy is what you need to keep doing to remain healthy, isn't it? It's pretty obvious. Okay? So please take the positives from the times you've had now going ahead. Now there were some questions about people worrying about how are they going to keep their immunity up once they start interacting with everybody. And they were very worried about how to look after their elderly parents, relatives, family members, people in the community, whether they could make them sick or how could they protect them. Well, the answers always start with simple things. The advice that has been given with sanitization and respectable social distancing is something we need to carry on ahead forever. Because if it is not a coronavirus COVID-19 disease today, there could be another one around the corner. Okay, so these are just good practices to do anyway. Okay, so avoid being in very crowded places. Okay, have exposure to fresh air on a regular basis. Eat a healthy diet. Move your bodies every day. Get good sleep. Take a few key supplements. Vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, some good antioxidants, and B vitamins and minerals. Again, I will give you a link to it once more in a follow-up email. But these are just simple things. But the beauty is in doing them regularly all the time going ahead. It's not for a finite period of time. This is something we need to do every day, and it becomes a part of our lifestyle. Now, caring for the elderly is just a step further. What you're doing here, you just have to make sure you do more carefully when you're interacting with adults. Okay? So keep your distances, make sure that they're getting nutrition, make sure they're getting company. Okay? Don't leave them alone. Give them company, give them a sense of community. Make their lives very inclusive. But be careful. Okay? And that's all that is needed. Okay? As per the Ministry of Health, if there are vaccinations when they are needed, should be given appropriately to the right individual at the right time, as I said earlier. But besides that, there is really no real need to be scared living life going ahead. This was something that we had forgotten. This is something that we should always do. Okay? There will be some challenges. Maybe travel will never be the same as it was like before. But so be it. Don't you think some of us were traveling far too much? At a big cost to the planet. Well, there could be ways that jobs could be done without having to travel so much. We've learned that now. So we'll have to find new ways to live in our world and to work, which everybody will evolve with. Human beings are greatly adaptable creatures. And that's the reason why, as a species, we have survived so well over the years, while some other species have vanished, like the dinosaurs. So we have got great powers of adaptability. Let's just make that adaptability positive. Positive for ourselves, positive for our communities, positive for our planet. Okay? I'll be back to work starting from next week for those of you who want to meet me on a face-to-face basis, and I really look forward to it. And hopefully these couple of little videos have reminded you of me and of all the things I always tell you. And see you again. Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.